Good day and hello listeners. After my video covering the Rise of Skywalker trailer, I wouldn't blame you if you believed I had something against Disney Star Wars, or Star Wars as a whole. Not at all. Like many people, of course, I want Star Wars to be good again. However, the Rise of Skywalker doesn't exactly instill a great deal of confidence in me. In fact, I don't think I've been this uneasy since the storming of Normandy in 1944. However, dear listeners, there is more Star Wars content to come, one of which dropped only days ago, The Mandalorian. You know these guys? Well, there's a show about some of them now, and I decided to take the day off from doing nothing and check this guff out for myself. It's good. Jon Favreau. Bless you, my friend. Indeed, in a rather unexpected turn of events, it turns out The Mandalorian, or at least its pilot, is a good introduction to a brand new perspective in the Star Wars galaxy. Congratulations, Disney. You have something that will distract everyone from the tismic buggery that is the end to the sequel trilogy. Well, something else anyway. First of all, I'm sure it goes without saying, but just to be clear, no, this does not absolve Disney Star Wars for The Last Jedi and their overall constant missteps with the film trilogy. However, it does give me hope that Star Wars as a universe can live on to some degree. I want to say that this will stand as proof that the writers of Disney are capable of producing good Star Wars content, but at the time of saying this, only one episode has been released. Things could potentially change. But so far the combined efforts of Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, you know, the guy who made this fantastic animated show, have given me hope that this could be a promising picture flick. From what I have seen from Jon Favreau, he has a good mind for characterization and story building, while Dave Filoni is a competent director and adds a touch of the cartoonishness to Star Wars, which I believe should always be a feature. Yet simultaneously, this first episode contains a lot of gritty action. Then again, when it comes to Dave Filoni directing, things normally get pretty brutal for a Star Wars show.
This is a film about space wizards intended for children.
Intended for children.
So, what's this first episode about? Well, a bounty-hunting Mandalorian, who is played by an apparently camera-shy Prince of Dawn, Pedro Pascal for those who are unfamiliar, travels from backwater location to backwater location, fulfilling contracts and making allies. That's about it at this stage. Now, I understand this isn't a whole lot to go on.
That's nothing to go on.
But honestly, that's all there is at this time, and if I'm being frank, there isn't exactly much of a story to screw up at this point. Pedro travels to a few locales to accomplish bounties and earn enough credits to get by until the next one appears. The big job in this first episode comes from a group of ex-Imperials, or maybe Imperial Remnant, who offer to pay him handsomely if he brings back a target, preferably alive. Throughout this pilot, we establish our main character, the state of the world, and the state of the Mandalorian faction, as well as one additional character, I suppose, though it's light establishment at best. That being Pedro's boss, blacksmith lady, I guess. But let's not forget to mention the hugely entertaining IG assassin droid, who shows up during this big job, and we get to establish Pedro's hatred towards droids thanks to a separatist attack on his homeworld during the Clone Wars. And we end up with a classic dysfunctional pairing of characters, in this case being a stone-cold gunslinger with an inflexible, unintentionally hilarious robot. They choose to work together and to share the bounty job, and split the payment after surviving an intense and action-packed shootout. Honestly, I can't wait to see more of this character dynamic. They do make an oddly gelled team, and perhaps this relationship might help Pedro overcome his detestment to droids, while he simultaneously teaches the IG droid, that he has now made his companion, how to become a creative thinker, perhaps instilling a sense of self-awareness or humanity within the... Oh, okay, never mind. Moving on, my favorite aspect to this show is honestly where it sits in the universe. This show gives plenty of evidence to suggest that this is after the events of Return of the Jedi. The Empire are a middling to potentially gone faction, and we are in a unique situation where the universe of Star Wars is potentially in governmental and financial flux. Pedro flat out refuses Empire credits for the fact that they have little to no value. Times are tough for our gunslinging gentleman, and since the events of Endor, his line of work has become bloated with new competition, and it's interesting to consider that the struggles of these people and the increase in mercenary, bounty hunting and smuggling work is down to the heroics of the Rebels and our beloved original trilogy team, though I'm sure as the series goes on, there will be more development on that. It's too bad that such an interesting premise was not the focus of a certain other trilogy. Imagine what could have been done. It's not a perfect show, of course. There are a few things to mention that could be improved upon. This first episode was jam-packed with references, to the point that it became kind of eye-rolly. They even refer to the bloody Christmas special. Why? You can of course argue that this helps establish the Star Wars feel, but some of the references and callbacks will most likely fly over the head of the less Star Wars savvy fan. Despite the great cinematography and audio work, the music in this first episode shows ample room for improvement. I am a person of music, couldn't you tell? And honestly, the music in this show is pretty basic and bland. Even the action sections, which is somewhat disappointing, as it does take away from the fluid and fast-paced gunfights. But honestly, overall, I really liked it. There's not much else to say about the show at this point. We need to give it the room to grow, to see what it comes up with. It has this more intense adult atmosphere, similar to Rogue One, which I also happen to really enjoy, and I'm sure that's no coincidence. It's fast-paced, with some great action set pieces, plenty of practical effects and CGI brought together wonderfully to create amazing locations and plenty of creatures. The sets and costume design is marvelous, because, well, Disney has money. But nevertheless, it is surprising how much effort and attention to detail went into this pilot, especially since Disney have bigger fish to fry right now. It's currently light on story, but the dialogue and character interactions carry you through the episode's 45-minute runtime. So, if a gunslinging Star Wars episode that's light in terms of story writing but shows promise of excellence in the future episodes sounds like your cup of space milk, then maybe consider watching this opening episode. I mean, what else is there really to watch right now? It's early days for The Mandalorian, but this show certainly seems promising so far. It may end up being the most entertaining Star Wars flick we've seen for a while. As long as the story picks up, and Disney keep their identity politics out of this show, I could see it being one I would binge-watch quite happily. But I suppose time will tell. Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. This was a shorter video than what I'm hoping to be my usual, but something far more extensive is just on the horizon. Until then, I wish you all a wonderful rest of your day. Stay tuned.